Welcome back to Fishing for Real People. Justin here. Today I wanted to do something a little bit different. There are a lot of different bait casters out there, and so today I kind of wanted to do a test, or at least I wanted to kind of start a little mini series, we'll call it, where we test out the different major brands of bait casters, and budget friendly ones, and see how they kind of stack up against each other. And I'm going to give them a rating scale basically from hey, this is awesome, to oh man, this is utter trash, don't buy it. So the intent is to hopefully give some information out there for people that are new to bait casters, or you go on your fishing trip and you need to just buy one to just get you by for this particular trip or whatever. So I'll get you a different orientation on this and show you the one I'm going to be testing today. So be right back. All right, so first one we're going to be testing today is this Lews. Might get some better light on it. There we go. It's this Lews the American Hero. I was really excited when I saw this. They give part of the proceeds to veterans organizations. I was really looking forward to trying this. I've been eyeballing it for a while. I got mine at Dunham Sports. It's picked it up. Pretty excited about testing it out. Lews is a really reputable brand. This one here is lure weight 1/4 to 5/8 ounce, power medium, action fast, 8 to 17 pound line, 7-foot stick. It is the IM7 blank, which an IM7 is a pretty decent blank, and Lews is known for making some pretty good reels, both baitcaster and spinning. So I'm really looking forward to testing this out. Now, for starters, these knobs, I actually really like these knobs. It's kind of got a rubber feel to it. Feels like it'd be really grippy. Everything else about it, I mean, the reel itself, I mean, it doesn't feel super solid. It does feel, just touching it, a little plasticky, but hey, the proof is in the pudding, right? So got to use it and see what it actually feels like. The brake dial here, looks like we got 1 to 10 with then half clicks in between, and that does click. I don't know if you can hear that. And it is a very positive engagement on each click, which is really nice. It does not have a clicking drag. I gotta loosen that up a little bit, but it does not have a clicking drag. Tighten that back down some. So this one here is the 7.5 to 1 speed that I got. I have it spooled up with, I believe this is 10, yeah, it's 10 pound P line. I have already tied up here this is a 1/4 ounce worm weight on just a standard worm hook, and I believe this is a speed worm or power worm, whatever, it's a worm. So I'm gonna try a little bit of casting with this. Just wrapped up around myself there. There we go. So the release button, it's got a nice, very positive feel to it. Loosen this up a little bit. It's got a nice positive lock feel. Doesn't feel like it's going to spring back up, which is nice. That's always nice. Yeah. Yeah, got a nice positive release on that. All right, I'm going to set this up and make a cast. I have not done anything with this yet, so we'll see what we've got. Now when you go to set up a bait caster here for the first time, what you want to do is tighten this down pretty much to max. Click your button and then loosen it up to the point where it just starts to fall, just like that. Just for the first time, you want it to be a little bit stiffer. I don't know if you can see that worm fall in the background. You want it to be a little bit stiffer because the last thing you want to do is blow up your line. You blow up your spool on, you know, the very first time you cast. So you see that nice slow fall rate. Do that one more time. Nice slow fall rate on that. And then the other thing you want to do is you want to turn your brakes up. I'm going to go right to 10 with it. Again, just so you don't want to blow up the spool on your very first cast. So sit down on this rock here. All right, let's make a cast and see how this works. All right, cast out pretty decent. Let's make another cast here. All right. Casting distance on just that is maybe, oh, I don't know, 20 yards or so. All right. I'm going to speed that back up here. All right. I'm going to back off on my brakes a little bit now. Let's go to 7 and see how that works. Ooh, a little bit of fluff about halfway through the cast there. Didn't really gain a whole lot on that. All right, let's bring that back up a little bit. I do like these knobs. I like how grippy they feel. All right, I'm gonna loosen up the spool a little bit now. Get it set for about the fall rate that I normally like. Just a little more there. So that, a little more. I wish this clicked. Like so you could hear that positive click every time it goes a little bit looser or a little bit tighter. Let's make that cast. Ooh, a lot of fluff. I don't know if that showed up on the camera, but that fluffed up real bad there. All right, I'm going to try that cast again. Let's see here. Okay, that time it didn't, but I didn't quite give it as much juice on that cast. All right, I'm going to really try and give this a good hard toss now. Yeah. See all that fluff. It did work itself out at the end there. Now I did get a much better distance on that cast. Went out to maybe 30 yards. And I am really leery about turning these brakes down any more past 7, just based on the amount of fluff that I'm catching, but I'm going to go to 6 and see what it does here. Oh yeah, a lot of fluff. It does work itself out there at the end, but there's a lot of line kind of bundling up on itself there. So that to me says that these brakes probably are a little bit underpowered. And I know if I just back these brakes off even to 5, this thing's gonna backlash and bird's nest really bad. So I'm very hesitant to put anything heavier on here because of that fact. I mean, this is, like I said, a 1/4 ounce worm weight, you know, which is within it. I mean, it's minimum of 1/4. So yeah, the 1/4 plus that worm and hook. I mean, this shouldn't be too much for this thing to handle. I mean, it casts decent. Like, I'm getting decent distance on it. My only concern is the amount of fluff I'm getting on those casts. I'm worried that throwing even a 5/8 ounce lure on here is probably gonna backlash really bad. The feel of it in hand is decent. I mean, it's good in hand. It's comfortable to hold. It's comfortable to work the rod. The rod is plenty responsive. I can feel like as I bounce off of rocks under there. Yeah, I'm gonna make another cast. I'm gonna let it sink down, and I'll tell you how I feel. Like, all that fluff, that's just nuts. Like, it's casting a decent 30 yards, but these brakes I feel like are probably really, really underpowered. Like, if I'm getting fluff at 6 with the weight that I have on here, if I turn this down to 5, it would probably backlash really bad. I would hesitate to throw like maybe a small crank on here. I don't know that I would throw, man, I don't know that I would do anything more than Texas rig or Carolina rig with this. I'd be really leery. I'll have to do a part 2. I'll get some other lures out and bring those along. Now, as I'm bouncing this along the bottom, I can feel the little rocks with the rod. I can feel when I snag on a weed. I mean, it's an IM7 blank, and those aren't god awful. They're definitely not the most sensitive ones on the planet, but I think if all you're doing is looking for, you know, your basic rod under 150 bucks, even if all you're going for is like a Texas rig rod, yeah, if you were looking for a Texas rig setup, I would say this would be okay. You know, a light Texas rig, I would say this would be okay. I wouldn't complain about that, I don't think. I'll have to bring that back for a part 2 when I actually can get out on the water. I'll do a follow-up on this, and when I can actually get out and catch a fish, and we'll see how it handles fish. Yeah, I want to test this now with like a 1/2 ounce lipless crank or something. Not that this is necessary. Oh, that was a bite. That was a bite. That was something. That was a fish. It was a really soft strike, but that was definitely a strike. That was a fish. All right, let me peel this back up. Make that cast again. Look at all that fluff. There it is. There's the backlash. Because I really went to herf it out there a little bit because I wanted some more distance on that. I knew that was going to happen with the amount of fluff I was getting. Back the brakes off here. There's a little trick that I learned from somebody. You back your brakes off. Once you're sure you're not going to snag on your own line, back your brakes off and then just pull it out and leave tension on the line, and it'll work itself out real quick. So there we go. Oh yeah, don't forget to turn your brakes back up. Or I'm sorry, not your brakes, your tension back up. Oh my God, drag, your drag. I've been saying the wrong thing. Drag, turn your drag back up. There we go. Yeah, that time I kind of let my thumb drag on it a little bit and it didn't fluff up as much. So really losing distance. Because as that spool fluffs up with all the line, that line is hitting everything in there, which is slowing down the spool, which is reducing your distance, your casting distance. So what I think I'll do is I'll put this back up to 7. Yep. See, now at 7, I didn't get any fluff, but I lost maybe 3-ish yards on that cast. So initial impressions are it's under braked, or the brakes on it probably aren't up to snuff with some of their other stuff. The rod itself is plenty decent enough. I mean, IM7 blanks aren't catastrophic. I do like the color pattern. You know, it does look it's appealing aesthetically. These grips are all right. I don't know, just what are they, EVA grips or whatever. It's got the stamped American Hero. I don't know if that's showing up on camera. AH right there. Where your finger goes, I mean, it's comfortable. I don't have any major complaints. Really, the only thing I can think to say about it is I think the brakes are weak. Brakes could use a little bit of improvement, but just casting this around, yeah, because I'm losing about 5 yards when I went from 6 to 7, but I don't have any of that fluff. Maybe I'll go to 6.5. We'll go to 6.5 and we'll try that. So let me reel that one up quick. All right, here we go. Brakes set at 6.5. Let's give this a cast and see how this works. Yep, a little bit of fluff, not as much as when it's 6, but I don't really gain a whole lot on the cast either. Wasn't a gigantic improvement. All right, I think I'm going to do one more cast here, and then we're going to do some final thoughts on it. Or I'll just do my final thoughts. I don't hate the grip. It's a little firm. Feels like it's a thinner foam over hard. I don't hate the grip. I like the knobs. I do. I like these knobs. They're very positive feeling. They don't feel like they would ever get slippery. You know, and you get some fish slime on your hands or whatever. It's a very nice grippy knob. I like that. The reel itself feels plasticky. Like just now having cast it around for, I don't know, 20 minutes, it feels plasticky. It doesn't have a solid feeling to it, you know, where you pick up some and it's like, oh yeah, that reel is built solid, you know, I'm not worried about it breaking or anything like that. This, I feel like if I hooked into a 5-pound bass with this, it would probably break the reel, you know, if that makes sense. The brakes are way underpowered. or there's something off about the brakes. They're just, with the weight that I have on here, I would think I should be living more down in the 3.5, 4 range on the brakes, but I'm up at, I've found pretty consistently 6.5. You get a little bit of fluff on the cast, but it doesn't backlash, at least with the weight that I have on. I'll do a part 2 on this when I can actually get out on the water and test this thing. I'll throw a couple different baits on it, and we'll give it a little bit more of a go, but for the most part, I can say I don't hate it, and just based on today's experience, would I recommend it? I'll say it meets minimum expectations to be a bait caster. I mean, the IM7 rod, I've used a whole bunch of them. I've owned several. They're decent rods. I will say, something about the rod that I do not like is the hook keeper placement way down here. I just don't like that. Call me crazy. I know that there are a lot of people that do, but to hook it down there, you know, now you've got your bait way down there. I just, personally, I don't like it. I don't. You can't really, this part here, this guard thumb part here is kind of thick, so you can't hook anything there necessarily. So you wind up hooking it on this first eye, which is fine. It's not that big of a deal. But I wish it had, you know, more of a hook keeper down here on the side, but whatever. Again, not that big of a deal. That's more personal preference. So the rod itself is fine. You know, it's not the most sensitive in the world, but then again, you know, this is a $150 or sub $150 combo. The reel feels plasticky. Brakes are underpowered. Very positive engagement on the thumb bar, which is nice. It didn't slip once for me while I was casting. The spool tension's a little, it's got a little bit of play in it, I guess, maybe. You move it just a little bit, nothing happens. You move it just a little bit, nothing happens. You move it just a little bit, nothing happens. You move it just a little bit, and all of a sudden you got all the slop in the world in your spool. So maybe something off about that. So it took me a little bit off camera to get that dialed up just right. You know, the reel itself has 6 bearings, so it feels smooth enough. Like cast and retrieve is smooth enough on it, but the reel itself just feels a little plasticky. So like I said, I think my final verdict on this combo is it meets minimum expectations. Nothing about it really wowed me, but it's not horrible either. So I think in a pinch, you know, go into it expecting to have weak brakes and a basic combo, I think you'd be okay from this demo, or at least from this half hour-ish of me working with it. So I'll do a part 2 later sometime, throw some different baits on it and see how it works, and we'll go from there. All right, I want to thank you for tagging along. If you got any value out of this video, I'd really appreciate it if you you know, gave it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps the channel. I'll be doing a couple more videos like this in the future with some other $100 to $150 combos, just to, you know, test them out and pass along my thoughts. So until next time, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.